بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله الأمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to the second half of Umdatul Ahkaam. If you recall, the first half dealt with what is known as al-ibadat. And al-ibadat are the things that people do to get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, which of course includes the 5 pillars of Islam. And we spoke about the fiqhi side of it, the side that deals with jurisprudence. So we spoke about purity, because without purity you cannot pray. And we spoke about prayer because it is the most important pillar of Islam after the Shahada. And then we spoke about fasting and zakat and hajj, and we concluded all of that with the grace of Allah. Now we deal with what is known to the scholars as al-mu'amalat. And mu'amalat is a general terminology that includes a lot of things, such as transactions, selling and buying, and what kind of selling and buying is haram. So we will talk about riba, we will talk about the forbidden types of transactions, and we will talk about things that deal with debts that also can have riba in them. We will talk about different types of transactions that are haram, pertaining to farming, for example, pertaining for just selling and buying, and what all these haram transactions revolve around. And we will go on to talk about different things, including marriages, divorces, iddah, which is a waiting period, including inheritance if people die, including bloodshed on the prescribed punishments, etc. All of these are considered to be in the category that deals with al-mu'amalat or transactions. The first we will talk about, inshallah, as in the kitab or in the book of Umdatul Ahkaam, and we may differ in the number of hadiths, because what I'm following is the commentary of Sheikh Abdullah al-Bassam, may Allah have mercy on his soul. And he may differ with the original text, but we will try to keep, inshallah, doing it in a way that would make it easier for us to comprehend. The compiler started with the book of al-Buyur, and this means the book of sales. Al-Bay' is to sell and buy. So sales. And why does he say sales? Because there are different types of transactions when you buy and sell. Some is halal, some is haram. So he is looking at it as a whole, as a number of different types of sales. What is the definition of al-bay'? It's exchange, money for money, to own permanently. Why to own permanently? Because we want to not include riba. Riba is exchanging money for money. But does there include something to own forever? No, you have to return it back with interest, as we will come and see, inshallah. Like, anyone can buy and sell. True? Not true. There are conditions so that your sales can be permissible. It's not for anyone to come and sell. For example, if the brother comes and says, who wants to buy the sheikh's iPad? Hey, what are you doing? Said, you just said selling is halal. So I'm selling. It's not yours. So you have to identify the conditions so you would know what is for me to sell and what is not for me to sell. The scholars give 7 conditions. The first condition is mentioned in the Quran, which is approval of both parties. Allah Azza wa Jal said to the believers, do not consume your wealth unless it is by consensual approval. So the buyer and the seller, they have to approve, meaning that if there is force included, the sale is not valid. If someone comes and says, sell me your car, so I don't want to, and he puts a gun into my head, this is not consent from my side. I will sell it because I don't want to die. So there has to be consent from both parties and no forcing. Even if not physical, forcing can be mental. If your uncle comes and he says, you have to sell me this, and he is embarrassing you, he's making you feel embarrassed, and you don't want to sell, but he's forcing you, this sale is not permissible as well, because it is being in a way, forcing you to do it. The second condition is that the person doing the transaction, whether he's the one buying or selling, he has to be someone permissible to act. Who is the one permissible to act? The scholars say he has to be free, adult, meaning reaching the age of puberty. He has to be sane, and he has to be wise. A slave cannot buy and sell. Why? Because the slave is the property of the master. So if a slave goes to the market driving his master's car and he wants to sell it, no, this is not permissible. You don't have authority to sell yourself. You don't own yourself. Your master owns you. Yeah, this is my car. This is my watch. No. This is not applicable. He has to reach the age of puberty, even if he's a multimillionaire. We have a multimillionaire child of 9 years old. He goes to a building. He says to the owner, I want to buy your building. Or he says, this building is mine and it is his. And he says, khalas, I'll sell it to you for 5 rupees. Is this applicable? No, because he is not entitled to buy and sell, except for things that are negligible, things that people accept and would not be considered to be a waste of time or money, such as if he goes to the bakery and he buys a loaf of bread, the owner of the bakery would not say, I cannot buy and sell from you. Go and bring your father. No, bread is something negligible. Soft drink is something negligible. Some sweets or candy. But if he wants to buy something that is important, no. So he has to be an adult. Thirdly, he has to be sane. So if someone runs away from mental hospital and he's crazy and he wants to buy and sell, is this applicable? No, it's not applicable. Fourthly, he has to be wise. What is the meaning of wise? Meaning he is a person who can estimate things. So something that costs €1, he would not buy it for 100. And something that costs 100, he would not sell it for €1. Someone who's in his right mind and wise who can know. We said that there are how many conditions? 7. We mentioned the first one, consent. Second one, that is the person is approved and in a good condition to have this transaction. And this has 4 things under it: to be free, to be reaching the age of puberty, to be sane, and also to be wise in making his decisions. So now we move on to number 3. To be able to buy and sell, the good you are buying and selling, it has to be permissible, it has to be useful, it has to be useful without a necessity. Permissible, meaning, can I buy and sell something that is haram? Is it permissible to buy intoxicants, for example, drugs, cigarettes? No. These are forbidden things, so I cannot buy and I cannot sell. It has to be useful. So, something that is not useful, that Muslims do not get use of. It's not haram, but the thing is not useful. Can you give me an example? Something that is not useful, but it's not haram. I'll give you an example. Someone goes to another and says, oh, mashallah, you have lots of roaches in your house. They're dirty, but you have 100. How much will you send me 100 for? Who buy cockroaches? Is this haram? So I'm not saying it's haram. It is useless. There's no use for it. Therefore, it is not permissible for you to buy or to sell. And there are things that are useful, but only in necessity. So this is also not permissible to buy and sell. And the example that scholars give is for a dog. Is dog permissible to use in necessity or generally? Only in necessity. When? In hunting, in a shepherd dog for the herd, or in protecting and guarding a farm. So these are permissible. But is it permissible to buy and sell? The answer is no, as we will come inshallah to discuss later on. Fourthly, among the conditions that we have to discuss is that those who are doing the transactions have to be owners. because the brother cannot sell what he does not own. And we will elaborate, inshallah, after the break, so stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. So now we move on to number 3. To be able to buy and sell, the good you are buying and selling, it has to be permissible, it has to be useful, it has to be useful without a necessity. Permissible, meaning, can I buy and sell something that is haram? Is it permissible to buy intoxicants, for example, drugs, cigarettes? No. These are forbidden things, so I cannot buy and I cannot sell. It has to be useful. So the fourth condition that is required so that the transaction would be halal, would be permissible, is that the person selling is the owner of the product. You cannot sell something that is not yours. Hadith Hakim ibn Hizam, may Allah be pleased with him, he said that the Prophet ﷺ forbade from selling something you do not own. Now, by saying something you have to own, this also includes if I give the power of attorney to someone, if I authorize someone to sell. So if I tell my son, sell this for me, doesn't own it, but I gave him authorization, so this is halal. If I give it to someone else, even if I pay money to him and I say, take this and sell it for me, so I am actually making him work for me, this is permissible. But what's not permissible is for you to sell something you do not own. Number 5, you have to have the ability to deliver, because sometimes I can sell you something and I cannot deliver it. Why? Either because I do not own it, or because it's not possible for me at the moment to bring it. For example, I'll sell you, who wants to buy the Eiffel Tower in Paris? Who wants to buy it? I'll sell it cheap. So I'll take it. So, okay, khalas, give me the money and go. This is not permissible, it's not mine, and I cannot deliver it. Someone tells me I'd like to buy a small shark. I said, okay, I'll sell you one. How much? So and so. He gives me the money, and I say, look, this is the ocean. Go and get any shark you want. Again, this is not permissible. Selling birds in the sky, not permissible. Selling a slave when we had slavery, selling a slave who ran away. So you go ahead and buy it. Selling a stolen car. Someone stole my car, a very expensive European car. And someone says, do you sell it? I said, yes, sure. Give me the money and go and get your car. Number 6 is to sell something that is recognized, that can be measured. Why? Because sometimes I'll sell you something that I have, but I do not know how much it measures. I do not know how it feels, how it looks. There are transactions the Prophet forbade, ﷺ, such as the transaction of touching. What is that? I have a big bag, a lot of clothes inside. And I tell you, turn off the lights, put your bag and choose something. And whatever you choose, it is for only $1. And you're thinking, oh, very good. Maybe I will get a pair of trousers worth of $100. Yes, maybe you will get something that is not worth of 1 cent. It's me and my luck. Bismillah. And I choose. This is halal? No, because you do not know it. Touching it or feeling it is not enough. You have to see it. And likewise, if a person tells you, look, this is my beautiful and great cow. So I say, my cow is pregnant. I'll sell you whatever is in her belly for $100. You think, this is a good transaction. I agree. Is this halal? No. Why? Because there is a lot of ambiguity. There is a possibility that the cow will give birth to 2 instead of 1. Who will be angry? The owner of the cow. I just thought one. There's a possibility that it would become dead. So the buyer says, I paid you $100. I said, well, you paid for this. So this is kind of transaction that is haram because there is injustice, either to me or to him, or to both. One would say, Taib, we all agree. We have no problem. He's agreeing, I'm agreeing. It's a risk we have to take. This is not permissible. Consent does not make haram things halal. Example? Any examples? Yes, Abdurrahman.
For example, if a person, he wants to take something on a loan and he says that you have to pay an interest, a riba, of 10% an annum. And the other person, he says, yes, I'm fine with it. It's a great deal. And then he agrees to pay. So there is consent, but still, because riba is haram, they cannot go ahead with the deal.
Understood the example? It's very good. So consent does not make haram things halal. It has to go in accordance to the Quran and to the Sunnah. And the last, final, seventh condition is the price must be known. Why? Because Islam protects the relationship between Muslims. Let's assume that I have my pen for you to sell. So you see my pen, you say, khalas, I agree to buy it. And I say, okay, I agree to sell it. After 2 days, you come to take the pen, and I give you the pen, and I say, where's the money? He said, okay, here's $1. I said, no, I want to sell it for $100. He said, no, this is too much. What will happen? Disagreement will happen, we'll fight, there is enmity between us. Islam says no, from the very beginning. How much is this? Sheikh, take it. We'll talk later on the price. The price is not important. A lot of the people do this. You get someone to work and fix something in your house. How much will you charge to fix the air conditioning? We'll talk. It's nothing. It's for free. Meaning that it's nothing. Afterwards, how much? He demands a lot, and you say that this is too much. No, Islam tells you from the very beginning, draw the line and negotiate and know the price, and by this, the 7 conditions for making a transaction permissible has been mentioned to you. In the remaining time, we have few minutes. I believe, okay, the brother has a question.
My question is regarding condition number 6. Something that is tangible, something that is measurable, and you gave the example of the calf and the cow. Now, what happens in Mumbai, and in fact many places in India, is in the real estate market, you just start building the building, you start the construction for the building, the project has just started, but many people buy a space in that building, although it's not yet constructed. So you've just got the foundation ready, but I've already booked a place in maybe the 7th floor. So my question is, the building is not set up. I cannot see the building. I cannot see the space I'm buying. But can I go ahead with that sale? Is it something that is measurable and tangible?
Akhi, what you have noted is worth noting. However, the kind of transaction you're talking about will come later on in the chapter that deals with as-salam. Now, we have a product, we have a price. Not necessarily that both are present. I can buy something and pay later, and I can give the money for something and receive later. However, this will come in the conditions, because I cannot buy something without being measurable. Those buying a plot or buying a flat in this building, they know how many square meters, the size, they know how many rooms, they know whether it is on the east or the west, they know exactly where it's located, they know the type of marbles, so it is specific. And that is why when they sign the contract, they just don't sign, I want a flat. No, this is haram. What kind of flat? You have to identify it exactly as we will come, inshallah, to describe in the book of As-Salam.
So, in other words, this sort of a transaction is halal, even though the flat or space that I'm buying is not tangible. I can't see it.
Providing that it is described as if you can see it. So if I go to a factory and I say to them, listen, this pen, I'd like you to make 1,000 of it, and here's the money in advance. One would say, They didn't produce it yet. This is agreeable, this is halal, as we will come to learn. But if they produce 1,000 pens that are not identical to what we have agreed upon, it's not in the contract, it's different, then in this case, the sale is not acceptable. A last quick question. Anyone?
The question is about the pirated softwares, applications, whether it be for Windows PC, Mac, Android or any. And most of the people don't purchase actually, because the purchase what is made is in the metro cities. But overall, most of the parts of the world, the softwares, applications, games are pirated. So what's the Islamic ruling on this?
Islam honors intellectual property. And the Prophet said, alayhi salam, you will not believe until you love to your brothers what you love to yourself. If you work hard on a software for 2 or 3 years and then display it for sale, and someone makes a pirate copy and sells it for peanuts, how would you feel? Would you say, I'm okay? Or you will go to the court and you will not approve of this. And that is why Islam honors the intellectual property. You have to honor it. There is a copyright, you have to honor that. That is, do buy it if it's original and do not buy it if it is pirated. For you to buy the original and to pirate it and to sell it and to make money out of it, this is not permissible, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have. Until we meet next time, fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.